Undertale's been the public eye for nearly 10 years, and over that time, the game's fandom has seen a lot. Everything from former YouTuber MatPat giving the game to the Pope, to even the subject of today's video, Undertale The Musical. Not to be confused with the other musical, as this one is made by El Hugany. Yeah, that's actually how you say it. Rather than tear it down for being cringe, I decided to take the pacifist route, deep diving into production, and talking to the person behind it. You know, I interviewed him, so join me, Ryan, as we talk about this infamous video and my trip to CES 2024, thanks to XPPen. Also, instead of saying cringe, I'm gonna say silly, as that word better suits this animation. If you were to check out Logan's Wikipedia to learn more about him, it's not really a lot, like, at all. So throughout this video, I'm gonna give little tidbits to really get to know the guy, such as his full name. Logan Maury Ian Anthony Hugany Clark was born December 20th, 1986. Also, I'm gonna call him Logan, just to make it easier, because I'm not gonna say that whole thing every time. Interesting enough, despite Undertale the Musical being his most infamous work, it's not his most famous. That title would go to his Jurassic Park series of parodies. Well, not on Spotify, where Undertale is still the most heard of.
Should I be a pacifist? Or should I use my fists? I'm feeling evil, think I'll kill them all.
It was on one fateful flight from Paris to Los Angeles where he had so much time on his hands. 11 hours to be exact. He couldn't really sleep on the plane, so instead he chose to play Undertale. Fellow animator Anti-Darkheart would be the one who introduced him to the game. But I suppose they forgot to mention he didn't have to kill anyone in the game at all. As the first playthrough of the game, Logan went on the genocide route. It won't be until much later did he realize he couldn't spare them all.
Yeah, and then I think I wrote the lyrics like right then and there on like the same flight. I like didn't sleep a wink, and I just already, I don't know why I decided Bad Romance. I'm one of those people that just sometimes gets a song stuck in his head and I just cannot get it out for like days. Blessing or curse, in terms of making musicals, I get, and parodies, it's a blessing. Yeah, it's almost like a photographic memory, but for music.
While creating this animated song, he was also working on a live action one. During this time on his channel, he'd actually work under the MCN Maker Studios, and this allowed him to actually work with a lot of people and sets. So during the daytime, it'd be FNAF, and at night, Undertale. When the latter music video finally released back April 3rd, 2016, he felt like it failed.
Much of Undertale, the musical, when it first came out, I really thought it was actually like a failure, like one to really like never look back on. The response was not very positive at the beginning. I mean, there used to be a public dislike button at the time, and we were starting to get into 50-50 territory. I mean, we're almost turning into Red Lightsaber, if you know what I mean by that. Shortly after it came out, there was one of those drama YouTubers did an expose on me. I think I had seen like cringe compilations, and I'd seen Undertale the Musical in one of those, and then one of those people apparently had their cringe compilation removed by YouTube, and they tried to say it was me, so they contacted this drama YouTuber, and then so as a result, after that video came out from that drama YouTuber, it definitely went into Red Lightsaber territory for a while. I mean, there was like all the haters came in, and it was intense.
As for fans of Undertale, they would note inconsistent characterizations, such as Asgore's ear flaps being mistaken for a helmet, and also notable tracings of the pixel art. Further criticism would be the heavy use of autotune for vocals, animation quality, and even Frisk's design. Others even questioned if he played the game in the first place, which, again, I have to clarify, he did. Over the 8 years since release, it'll go in and out of meme status. One of the more interesting things about the animation comes from someone lip-syncing it. Well, supposedly. This video shows someone lip-syncing to the song where the house catches on fire. In the comments, an IRL friend claims it was actually a Numa Numa parody they just swapped out the vocals for, essentially creating a slight internet urban legend, I guess.
I actually thought that was fake at first. I didn't think that was real. Then it was recently confirmed to me that it was in fact real. I have mixed emotions about that. Yeah, I'm honored that people would like love something I made enough to like want to sit there and film themselves lip syncing it and learn the lyrics, and it means so much to them. But you know, another part of me is like, oh my god, your house is burning down and Undertale the Musical is playing. That's like just that's like awful. I hope they had home insurance. I hope they had fire insurance. You can never find out who that person is one day. I'd like to personally offer my condolences. I hope that there's not some sort of curse on the song that caused whatever electrical short did that.
In more recent years, parodies of the parody would actually release, such as 2022's Story of Family Guy.
Story of Family Guy.
And a year later, a team of people would actually aim to recreate Logan's video, trying to replicate how he animates the characters. Another version like this would be Story of Van Van, and another person working on a full parody of Undertale Yellow, the musical. Oh, on the note of the Family Guy parody, with the help of Daemonius, SGT, IDK, Sue Frames, and Story of Undertale, they made a full-fledged animation. However, unlike Logan, who actually sung the song, they opted to use AI voices, which was sad to see. I would have preferred terrible impressions, but they didn't want to try that, I suppose.
My name was Jerome, or should I go home? I think I'll take just another beer.
But going back to the original video, that Logan made, a clip would make rounds on Twitter, that being Char possessing Frisk. YouTuber people would actually take this and lip sync it to Despicable Me by Pharrell Williams. And with that, many people would make their own renditions. A fake vinyl would also appear in the wild, with some people thinking it was real. A user by the name of Every Story of Undertale Frame in Order would post a frame every 30 minutes manually, as well as share a bunch of memes about the video. But this shouldn't be confused with Story of Undertale, which is a YouTube channel and Twitter account, and is a completely different person. Story of Undertale would also make a figure that plays a song, and even made an AI cover of My Way by synthesizing Logan's voice. What was real, however, was a t-shirt of Frisk that sold during December 2023. It sold fine, I guess.
I suppose, like, I'm flattered and honored and happy that I've made something that's made such an impact that people would want to dedicate so much time to making a parody of my parody, especially given that, you know, if they're full-blown animating it, they're clearly probably have the talent to, you know, go make something original or go make their own parody of something that's not a parody. You know, it's one thing to be a fan of something, but to take the time to make a full-blown animation, I mean, it really means that it's, whether it's for views or it's because they really like it or somewhere in between. I have to say, I don't know, the flattery is not the word, but I'm intrigued and honored, whether it's for good or for bad, but to have been some part of this world and the internet to a point where that is happening.
The resurgence of the song led to people covering it, as well as his other works. Quite, a commentary YouTuber, talked about this animation back in 2022. He would pause the song, make a quip, and that was the video, I guess. Not singling out this YouTuber, of course, as many have made fun of the song for being silly, and that's just what people like to do. Psychologist Mark Travers wrote about this in Forbes. Not about Logan, but like, you'll see where I'm going, I guess. You know, to hate watch content and specifying disliking versus hating something. To find enjoyments of the bad thing and get others to participate in enjoying the bad thing. But diving too deep into the joke might make you, the person making fun of it, look weird. In a vacuum, seeing this very specific account, or maybe even the meme itself, you're like, that's pretty funny. But then you look at their channels and it's like, oh, you guys really like making jokes about this, huh? Are you okay? Do you need to talk about anything? And as mentioned before, if they have the talent to recreate his animation, well, they should make their own. Could be fun. That's why I'd rather use the word silly to describe the animation instead of cringe. You get a better sense of how the internet can overstate and harp on things that don't really matter. This is also why the Undertale song goes in and out of enjoyment, even if ironic. People will see the song, make fun of it, move on, and a new group of people will do this all over again. And not even look deeper, as mostly all the memes just revolve around the original song. With the help of the animator Comic Dud, he remade the song as well as produced a neutral and pacifist versions. But check them out, they're also Lady Gaga based. Asgard's castle. I made a post asking people what they thought of the song, and one comment really stuck with me.
Might be a little cringe to some, or charming to those still deep into the fandom, but as for me, it's just a fun, harmless little fan-animated song.
Logan's music videos are not that well drawn, and their vocals could use some work, but he found a niche that garners attention and revenue, even sparking memes of his work, thus making a defining cultural impact with his works. He even quite said that he remembers watching the Call of Duty parodies as a kid.
I saw it joked about on Twitter before ever remembering those Call of Duty ones I used to watch, and I completely forgot that I had.
A similar case would be that of Yo Mama. Not Yo Mama specifically, but the channel, and Yo Mama, a series I also made a video on. It's a series about a frat bro saying Yo Mama jokes, and it's stuck with viewers over the years, even if it's something they wouldn't watch today. But is another long-lasting series that shares the same memeable moments, even if not intended by the original creator. Xbox Live! But going back to Ohugany, audiences will internalize things that might seem innocuous to the creator, oftentimes something they only thought about once. And depending on the thing itself, it might be the only thing that people know the creator for. I like making these sorts of videos as it shows the actual people behind these silly animations, as sometimes I find the stories behind it more interesting than the piece itself. However, unfortunately, with Undertale the Musical, showing behind the scenes footage would be a bit difficult.
I don't actually have the original Flash files due to an issue. I don't know the exact story, but I actually had a small electrical fire, and I don't know what it was caused by. I think it may have been a Snoopy landlord because he happened to be there, but I don't want to point fingers. Maybe it was the evil spirit of the house from the house fire that burnt down that made its way through the internet to my computer and set my computer on fire. But I believe I have those files on the hard drive, and I'm gonna pull them out of my tower when I have a chance and get them.
After our interview, I talked to him about the future of his channel and what he could improve on. But before that, you should like and subscribe, and also listen to me talk about the sponsor of this video, XPPen. XPPen flew me down to CES 2024 in Las Vegas to check out the new drawing tablets, the Magic Drawing Pad. Talking to people at the booth and having a hands-on experience really blew me away. I'm gonna list a bunch of things, and they're very important. It's a 12.2-inch Android drawing tablet, supporting 109% sRGB color range, with 2160 by 1440 pixels, so you can really see art shine. Not to mention it has 16,000 pressure levels, meaning you have a higher accuracy when you draw. For a frame of reference, I went to another booth with drawing tablets, and I tried it out, and it's like, oh, 4,096 pressure levels. It even has an AGH glass surface that simulates pen on paper, so if you're looking for an Android drawing tablet, this could be what you're looking for. Especially since for an iPad, you also have to buy a screen protector and pen to get a fraction of the experience this one can do. It has integrated storage of 256 gigs, and pre-installed apps like MediaBang and IBS Paint, though of course you can upgrade the storage to 512 with a microSD card. Paired with 8 gigs of RAM, you can have a lot of layers in Clip Studio Paint. While talking with the workers there, I did give suggestions of what artists might want out of future products, such as a home drawing tablet with 120Hz, and even a standalone Windows tablet if Android is not your thing. I can't say much of what they told me, but I think you'll be very excited with what they have in store. And so if you're interested in drawing tablets, go to the website and pre-order it, as it ships January 30th. Though after trying out the drawing tablets, I went off to hang out with friends exploring the convention. Plain Rock, Ian's Tech, and TFTW, and I looked at a bunch of emerging technology that made me think about what it means to create and improve, all while eating at a bunch of places and trying an edible for the first time. I did it while watching Ted the Series. As for the technology, I saw everything from dual screen laptops, new CPU chips, to even waterproof speakers. I'd actually interviewed Logan the day before I left for my trip and thought about what it means to get better at art, as improving something sometimes means just doing it a different way. Like I saw a washer dryer combo, not like two separate things, so it's like one thing that does it in one go, and I was like, that's cool as shit. When it comes to producing art, seldom does the artist not know what is wrong with it. Classic.
What were they thinking?
Often does have an answer. I mean, check out the rest of my videos where I interview people. Though
why would they release this? It's so bad.
is more rhetorical in a sense. For Logan, he does want to get better at art. Although the change is gradual, there is improvement here and there within his videos. Also not forgetting that he has hired people to help out with 2D and 3D, so when you see like a wild style change, it's not like, oh, he changes art completely. No, that's a different person, entirely. Some of this is due to time constraints as well as a major medical issue. In 2016, Logan was diagnosed with a brain tumor that would cause him seizures. 6 years later, he would finally get removed with some complications.
It's ironic when you look at my avatar, because the moral of the story is be careful what you draw as your avatar, because it might just come true. Like when I initially created my avatar over a decade ago, it was with the notion of subtag, like ideas fresh from my brain to your screen. Like never would I have thought that it was a completely like unintentional foreshadowing of getting brain surgery. Of all the types of brain surgery, I mean, it was relatively minor. I mean, it's still, looking back on it, was intense, but being in like the hospital ward and like the ICU recovery and seeing some of the other people come in and out, yeah, I felt very fortunate in comparison.
After getting the surgery, do you notice any difference in your drawing abilities?
I don't know.
That's a weird question, but like it's a brain thing. You know?
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Yeah. It's interesting to say. I mean, I feel like perhaps I have more control over my hand, but I guess a good comparison is, there's like literally like a last page in my sketchbook of before the surgery, and then there's a bunch of stuff afterwards. So that would probably be the best. Actually looking back on it, I think I prefer the stuff I've made afterwards, but it's I guess it's subjective. But in terms of my ability, surprisingly, yes, I find that I have like slightly more control in my right hand. I don't think the surgery may have had anything. It might just be psychosomatic, because it was in the part of my frontal lobe that apparently could have affected my left hand. That was like the one worry, was when I came out of surgery, like you might have to relearn to use your left hand, which really sucked for like music composition, but luckily was not a threat to to drawing.
But circling back to improvement, sometimes it's having the right tools to make art faster, to have more time in between works, as well as a community that wants to see you do better. In changing my content, I've been happier and producing more than I ever could before. Also, over the course of this time, I've helped artists with their own works, either in buying the right computer, teaching them programs, not teaching them to draw, but teaching them the programs themselves, like Premiere, or suggesting tools that can help overall. One such program would be PureRef. I was shown this by someone else, and it's essentially a mood board. So instead of having a bunch of pictures on screen, you can have everything in one easily movable window. Next would be getting the Clip Studio Paint, as Logan Raw Dog's drawing the rigs in Flash. Doing some sketches in another program and drawing over them might look a bit better. Also installing the add-on Lazy Mizumi would work a lot better. Further talking about the topic of, well, drawing, I guess, he has lessened the use of tracing for his characters. I could go into this whole thing about what forms of tracing are good and bad, but I already made a video about that. But essentially the form of tracing he was doing was limiting creativity, and essentially forces him into a box he can't get out of. Another point to be fully knowing the program you're working with, such as me talking about the frame picker tool within Animate, where you can select any frame in a given instance. I'd also push in a bit into moving away from GarageBand, as well as using a Blue Yeti mic, opting instead for something like Logic Pro, as well as a 5th gen Rode microphone. It's USB-C and XLR whenever you're ready. I want to talk about some of the things I told him, as to also give you, the audience, some things to look into. As of creating the art, there really isn't an end, as we're always improving over time. time. So going back to Undertale the Musical, it is just a snapshot of Logan's life and the abilities he had at the time. To look at it as a representation of his current or future works would be to believe that one cannot change or rather revel in the ironic enjoyment of the older works. To be disappointed that the person who made the meme has actually changed. Hence my swapping of the word cringe to silly, as it is just that. Silly songs that he makes of his wife, whom also appears in his works.
Wants me to get his secrets trend. BIOS is up to no good. Made a swarm of locusts to control Earth's food.
And in fact, has inspired others to create for themselves. Asking my audience what they thought of the video, I got a lot of varied answers.
It's a time capsule to the early to mid 2010s, representing many aspects of animation content and content in general around that time. It's weird it's had longevity being inspiration for many memes. A representation of Undertale's explosion of popularity. It was a project that would go on to define the Undertale fandom and help inspire many people within the sphere to make creative works within the Undertale universe.
It's the only case where I laugh in a video ironically and unironically at the same time.
Logan's tenure on YouTube has been quite a successful one. From his earliest hit Titanic the Musical, and even earlier his skateboarding videos I never mentioned till now, he's lived to create these humorous videos for all to see. He also has some of the toughest skin when it comes to his funny animations. To create without apology or irony, and even getting in on the meme is inspiring to see. So when talking about Undertale the Musical and what it means to improve, it's hard to deny his impact on the world, as well as his perseverance throughout everything.
I mean, there's still like financial aspects to it. I mean, you'd think that with almost 3 billion total views that I'd be financially set with AdSense revenue like for the rest of my life. But because of copyright claims on a lot of my more successful videos that parody popular songs, I've been unable to monetize a lot of those. I still feel that in a sense I'm grinding. I'm obviously, you know, things are very well, but you know, the whole episode with the brain tumor was and the epilepsy was just a reminder that financial independence is really important as well. So yeah, I mean, I always want to continue making animations and making things. I mean, even if I had all the money in the world, I don't think I would just go like sit on a beach with like margaritas. I would keep animating, probably not nearly at the pace I am now, but I also think that the quality would be a lot better and that I would make things that I like to a lot more.
However, music videos aren't the end-all be-all of Logan, as he liked to pursue more original works aside of songs. Between 2012 and 2014, he would actually pitch separate ideas, such as Pop and Green Money Weed Connection. The former had 20th Century Fox option it, and the latter Comedy Central really liked the concept. And in the meantime, he has an original series he's currently working on.
I've always wanted to branch out. I thought it could be fun to, and just refreshing, on, you know, not just for the audience, but for myself to just do something more dialogue-based. Yeah, I made that very quickly in a fever dream sort of state because, I started working on it not like that, but my dog of, people are going to say Logan, El Hughini's always losing dogs because at the end of the Undertale video, his sister passed away. But my first dog passed away while working on Jurassic Dinos, and so maybe I didn't give it my all because I was really twisted up over it. I thought that given the popularity of the Jurassic videos on El Hughini, that using that type of title that was so popular would make it more likely to do well from just like a cost expense return point of view. But it didn't do too well. I'm thinking of maybe trying more now that I'm in a much better headspace to write them.
Get off your butt and help me clean up this mess.
Yeah, that's not my job, Tubby.
Are you calling me fat?
When it comes to creating art on the internet, there's always ups and downs. And while Story of Undertale may be his most infamous, it is not his last. Even if the work isn't all that good, to put your heart into something and show it to the internet is very tough to do. But in the end, his works have inspired others. And of course, his parodies have their own parodies. Which is kind of weird to think about, like, how'd you get in the drawing? I really liked Undertale the Musical. No, not that one. Logan's Undertale the Musical. And sometimes that's all you need to keep going as a creator. All in all, I'm glad to have spoken of Logan and share some insight on his creative works, and even what was going on with him behind the scenes, such as his brain surgery. And look forward to what he has next in line for his songs. Maybe Deltarune?
My advice for aspiring creators is probably what my professor at RISD, Amy Kravitz, told me. Is just never stop creating. No matter what path life takes you down, never stop creating. And if you're embarrassed of it, don't show people. You should show people eventually if you want to make it your career or you want to be known as an artist. Even that, don't overthink it. Just never stop creating. The thing that ended up propelling me in YouTube was kind of the last thing I expected to. And that was only because even through a really difficult period, you know, financially, and there was a really bad economic recession and nobody was hiring. I felt like I went to college for nothing just to be doing freelance, but I just never stopped creating, and ultimately it led me to where I am.
Whoa, you outhugated it to the end of this video. If you loved it, just like and subscribe, and check out one of my other videos. That one, maybe that one. Whatever you do, you can't, like, stay here, but keep on drawing, of course.